Hey there Stampers, Susan here with Pumpkin Hill Stampers. I have a Stampin' Show and Tell for you today. We're going to be making this card here, and I've pulled it straight off the cover of the Celebration catalog. Okay, it's going to be using the Lovely Lily stamps, dies, and the Impressions Designer Series paper. So we're going to use all those together. Now on the cover here, it's more of a square card, maybe 4x4 or 4 1/4 by 4 1/4. I'm changing it to a standard size 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So I'll take you through the project. It's got lots of fun elements and color, and we'll put it together. Okay, so to start, I have lots of bits and pieces here. So let's go through some of the pieces. We have a Whisper White card base, right? Now you can't tell from the front, but I'm going to be covering it with a full panel of Garden Green. Okay, now the Garden Green, I've already run this through the embossing machine to do the subtle textures on it for my emboss, so it's got a thin, subtle impression on the cover. So that's just going to go straight on the front of our card. Then we have a piece of the Impressions, Lily Impressions Designer Series paper. All this brilliant, bright color in it. We've got the greens, we've got the blues, we've got the melon mambos and lovely lipstick colors, some yellow. So it's got lots of colors on there. So that's there. Now one of the reasons I decided to do the textured background was because this kind of looks like canvas up close. So together they're a nice match of texture there. So there's that. Alright, so our next layer is going to be this fun strip here that I cut with die. Now this is a coordinating die with the Lovely Lilies, and what I love about this die is that one edge is scalloped and one edge is more of a pointy. Okay, so there's that. We're going to use that on there as a piece of trim. So that was easy enough to do. Then I'm using some of my crinkled ribbon here. This is crushed curry. Now in the sample they used twine, but I didn't have the twine, so I'm just going to use 9 inches of my crinkled ribbon. And all I'm going to do is take my ends before I put that down, and I'm just going to trim up so there's a nice clean cut on my ends. Okay, so that's going to go on our card. Then we're going to stamp a lily with our Bermuda Bay, and we're going to cut it out with our die. We're going to die cut the detailed in Bermuda Bay as well, and then we're going to do our tag on our melon mambo. So let's go ahead and put these aside for a minute and let's do some stamping and die cutting and embossing, and then we'll put the card together. Okay, so from my set I'm going to pull out my Bermuda Bay ink. I'm going to ink up my large lily flower. Stamp that down. Now, while my stamp is still wet, I'm bringing in my blender pen, and I'm just going to pull that ink into the bloom. So you could color this with our blend markers if you wanted to, and of course you can do it with any of our colors, but by doing it with my blender pen, I'm getting color on color, and it's a kind of a faded color because I'm pulling it from the stamped image. And by doing it while it's still wet before that ink sets and dries, I'm able to spread it pretty evenly throughout my image. So this way we just don't have a stamped image that's white, white, white. We have a stamped image that's also got that faded Bermuda Bay color in it as well. So it just kind of adds to the fullness of the image. So that's a fun way to get a little more effect out of your ink pads, is just with our good old plain blender pens. So that's a fun technique that I've been using a bit lately. Okay, so that's going to get die cut with this, and we're going to die cut this one out of Bermuda Bay. So let's bring in our Big Shot. Alright, so I'm going to set my Big Shot down. I do have the precision plate on mine. I know a lot of people have switched over to using a self-adhesive mat. It's working for those of you, but I don't have one. I do have my precision plate though. So I put that down, I line up my die with my image here. And I'm just going to get that one out of my Bermuda Bay cardstock. Put my clear plate on top and run that through. And let's see. This comes right off. Easy peasy. There's my flower. Here's my die cut flower. And I can move this out of the way. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and just pop these die cut leaves out. Now I'm going to use Tombow. You could use fine tip glue, so whichever is easier for you to do. But I'm just going to add a little bit of adhesive to the back of my die cut. Now I mean a little bit, very little. Doesn't take much to add this little piece of trim to our flowers. Flip that over, try to keep the glue from my fingers, and I'm just going to put this right on top of my bloom. Now you can line it up exact, or you can be off a little bit, so whatever your creative eye tells you to do. So I have mine offset just a little bit. Okay, so there's our big flower. So now let's do our sentiment tag. Now I am borrowing from the Peaceful Moments Sentiments. This is in the Poppy Suite. I am borrowing the sentiment that says, wishing you every happiness this special day will bring. Now, I only want to use the wishing you every happiness part. So just the top part. So I don't want to ink up this special day will bring. So there's a couple ways you can achieve that. I'm going to do my best to show you how I do it myself. So I'm going to take my ink pad, my Versamark, and I'm going to set it, see if I can show it, I'm going to set it on my stamp, and do you see how I'm not getting it on that last line of text? So I'm going to ink that up, do my best not to get it on there, but to get all of my happiness inked. See how I did. Then I'm going to stamp this down. And it looks like I achieved my purpose there. Then I bring in I'm using Whisper White Emboss. I have it in my tray here. And I just dust that. Just like that. Now, if you don't think you're as steady at inking just that part, you could put a piece of sellotape or washi tape or Post-it over this section when you're stamping it, and that would block out if you had ink on there. Okay, so now we're just going to heat emboss this real quick. So everybody stand by. Got that all embossed. Then I'm bringing in my tailored tag punch, and I'm adding right over the top, center it, and punch that out. Okay, so let's see where we are going. Do I have all my pieces now? I think I have all my pieces now. Okay, so I'm going to bring my Tombow back in. There, I'll lay that more flat. Ripped it, but it's okay. I'm going to bring my Tombow back in. Now, sometimes when I cover the face of my card completely, I use the Tombow because it's a little more forgiving in placement. So I'm just going to put my Tombow down along my edges. Not thick, right? I'm doing a nice thin application of the Tombow, but kind of all over. Then when I flip that over and I put it on the face of my card, I can line up my edges, but because it's not adhered perfectly yet, I can kind of slide it around and make it cover the front of my card. So if I'm off a little bit, I can give it a little shift. Okay, so while I'm at it and the Tombow's here, I'm going to go ahead and add my Designer Series paper the same way. So I'm just going to do a thin layer of adhesive here, a little more maybe in the corners, just because I don't want it to peel up, but we should be good. I'm going to flip this over, and I'm going to line this up with my card. Now I'm leaving a little bit over here and a little bit wider over on that side, and I can push that up to my seam and hair that down. Okay, and if by chance you get these on there and you still have a little bit of that white card peeking out, just use your paper trimmer and trim the edges to clean it up for yourself. It can always be just a little bit shy of our standard size card. Okay, so next we're going to add up all these trimmy pieces. So I'm going to go ahead and just stick with my Tombow. I'm going to run Tombow along this center seam here of my embellishment. And I'm going to do it points side down. If you prefer the scallopy edge, you of course make it your way. It's your card, right? Alright, so there's that. Now, for our ribbon, I'm going to go ahead and stick with Tombow. I'm just going to add some adhesive kind of willy-nilly there. Now, I'm going to make a zigzag. So, I'm going to go up, tack that in, I'm going to come down, and then I'm going to go right back up again. So a zigzag, and I'm just pressing that ribbon right into that Tombow. Alright, now I am going to switch over to dimensionals though, because I want to add my flower and my sentiment with dimensionals. So just going to flip these over and add a couple to the sides of my sentiment, and I'm going to add 2 or 3 to the back of the flower just so it's good and firm. Peel those backers off. Okay, so I'm going to put my flower on first. Oops. Okay, so I'm going to put my flower here, overlapping all those elements, right? So I've tucked that ribbon behind, I've got the green kind of showing side to side, and then my, oop, not upside down, and then my sentiment, I've got, can overlap anywhere over here. I'm going to overlap it on above the green trim, so I guess I could have put that a little lower, but that's okay, it's an adjustment, and then up. So there's our card. So again, I took the idea straight off the cover of the Celebration catalog, used the products and the color schemes to make my own project. So we call that casing, copy and selectively edit, and those of you who've watched me for a while now know I do that often. So there we go. I hope you enjoyed today's tutorial. So if you hop on over to the blog, pumpkinhillstampers.com, I have this as my post today. The link is below in the comments, and I'll have all of the details, and there's going to be a PDF tutorial over there that you can download as well if you want to. So enjoy yourselves and have some fun stamping during Celebration. Remember, if you purchase with me, you become a VIP with me, and if you purchase during Celebration, make sure it's a $50 order or a $100 order, a $150 order, so that you can get some free Celebration merchandise. It's always great to get free stuff. So there you go, everybody. Hope you enjoy. Leave me some comments. Hop over to the blog. Leave me comments over there too, and do some fun stamping today. Thanks, everybody. Bye.